Hi there, everybody. On this bleak and gray Friday, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. Say hi to everybody, Sophie. Hopefully you got a good look at her. That's Sophie, our pig. Sophie was a rescue animal. She had been not very well taken care of where she was. So we have invited her to stay at our house, and she enjoys ruling the roost here in the goat and sheep barn and pig barn. Although I had made a separate pig barn for her, a little place for her to live back there, that little shed. That was a shed that was already here on the property that we converted into a place for her to live. She didn't like it, so now it's my tool shed. Well, one thing that I've been doing during this very difficult time for all of us is making sure I get in a couple hours of some heavy-duty yard work every day, just to keep myself in shape, take off a little bit weight, you know, the stuff that the doctor told me I was supposed to do, and also just because it needs done. And today is one of those days. I'm beginning to do what's going to be a week-long project of my yearly cleaning of the goat, sheep, and pig barn. Those of you who are familiar with cows know how they're all lined up in a nice pen, and you can pretty well just scoop out all the, well, you know what, and haul it out to the fields. But here in the goat barn, sheep barn, pig barn, they just kind of poop and pee everywhere. So you have to go in and clean it from top to bottom. Not a very pleasant job. Not something I'm all excited about doing, but it's got to be done. Now, Sophie here will tell you that it gets pretty messy in there. So I'm about to embark on an endeavor that is going to be a little bit interesting for the next couple of hours. But it reminds me of that one story. You remember it, right? The prodigal son story. The one where there's the two sons, and the one decides that he's kind of had it with living at home. You know, typical teenager. That's probably how old he was, I'm sure. And said, "Dad, just give me my inheritance now. Sayonara, goodbye. See y'all later. See y'all never." Off he takes to explore the world. And before you know it, he's in a lot of trouble. Before you know it, he runs out of money. And before you know it, he's taking care of the pigs. Now, you might not think that's any big deal, but if you're Jewish, it's a big deal. It's about the lowest form of work that you can be employed in. Taking care of an animal that is anathema, that is off limits to you as a religious person, as a Jew. Well, as the story goes, we all know how it ends. The one brother who stayed at home, he gets all upset, and that dad has basically welcomed this brother back home. And the whole point of the story is God's grace is unlimited. God's grace is overflowing to abundance. God's love for us is something that we just can't pull off with our own human strength. But it's something he pulls off for all of us. And we can never, ever forget that. Now, the other thing I thought about as I was getting ready to make my way in here to clean up, you know what, is this is not a job I would enjoy doing, even in a nice clean barn, scooping it out. But there are people who do that for a living. There are people who do that for you and for me. Where would we have the food that we put on our table if it weren't people who, in a way, stoop that low to get dirty and get mucky and get yucky for us, so that we can simply have our milk, have our meat. And I'm sure there's a lot of other jobs that are kind of, I would never want to do that. But think of where we would be as people if those jobs weren't taken care of. And think of how many of those jobs are deemed essential. And these people are still going out and doing that work for you and for me every day. On this gray and gloomy Friday, maybe it's time we all just stop for a moment and give thanks to God for people like that who do that work that all of us, we don't want to get our hands dirty for, but they do it for us. Let's thank God for them. Let's thank God for the people who are on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic, as they go out and work day after day, getting their hands dirty, getting their bodies exposed to this virus for our sake. Let's just give thanks to God that there are people who love us enough, care for us enough, that they're willing to do all these things so that you and I simply might live. Might be gloomy outside and a little bit of gray and a little bit drizzly right now, but you know what? It's a great day. It's a great day because we know we are loved by God and we're loved by a lot of other people. Have a super day.